Welcome, friends. Thank you for joining me today. It's Ray, and today I'm featuring a die cutting technique that you can use with almost any dies you have in your stash. Today's card is a Slimline card, and it features ephemera from Country Christmas collection by Simple Stories. There are 45 pieces in the set. I'll also be using dies from Elizabeth Crafts, and these are the diagonal stitched fishtail dies. So first I'm going to lay out the three smallest dies from the die set and make sure that they are evenly spaced. And I'm just eyeballing this. I could measure it, but I don't think I need to. But if you do, please go ahead and measure. And I'm going to affix some low-tack micropore tape and then run this through my die cutting machine. Now this technique will work with almost any geometric shaped dies that you might have in your stash. Circles, hearts, stars, and you just want to go by the rule of threes, and that is perhaps starting with three of the dies from the set and making and laying those out so that they look appeasing to the eye. And then if you need more, add a couple more. Just play with your design. But you should be able to do this with lots of different geometric shapes. Actually, before die cutting this, I've cut a piece of fun foam and am going to place my panel on top of the fun foam and then run both through my die cutting machine. Now I know that this is not going to cut through the fun foam because that's on the back, but what it does is it makes an impression so that afterwards I can run the fun foam through my die cutting machine again, and then my die cuts will be in the exact place that I need them to be. I taped my panel to my fun foam first to make sure that that didn't move when I die cut. Now I will line my dies up again directly on the fun foam, and they just fit right into the indentation, and add my low-tack tape, and then I'll run this through my die cutting machine again, and it will cut, through the fun foam. When using this technique, you can just leave your cutouts as openings, or you can add acetate behind them, but you don't have to make it into a shaker. Just depends on what you want. When die cutting the fun foam, there might be a minimal amount of stretching, and so as a result, my panel and my fun foam didn't quite line up exactly like I wanted. There was a little bit more red showing, so I cut about 1/8 of an inch off of those first two die cut areas. I'm going to use a sentiment from a Winnie and Walter Marion Bright stamp set, and I'm going to heat emboss that using VersaFine Onyx Black ink and clear embossing powder. I'm going to emboss that at the bottom of the panel. I first prepped my panel with anti-static powder so that I don't get embossing powder sticking where I don't want it. Here I've cut a piece of clear acetate to 3.5 inches by 7.5 inches, and I'm now adding double-sided tape to that panel. Next, I'm going to go ahead and affix my acetate to the back of my main panel and didn't realize it at the time, but I could have used a little bit more tape, and I will explain that later on and tell you how I fixed that. Next, I'm going to use liquid glue on the fun foam, and so that I have wiggle room when I place this on the back side of my panel. So um, if you get glue in between the opening areas, you want to get that off, because what you don't want is to get glue on your acetate panel. It was very easy to line the fun foam up and place that on the back of my panel. And once I do that, I'm going to use an acrylic block and let that set a few minutes so that it dries. My fun foam has an adhesive back, so I'm going to peel back just a little bit of that so that when I adhere my back panel, it makes it easier to make any adjustments before I truly affix it down. And here I am using a sequence mix, and discovered that some of the beads in the mix are just too big, because the depth of my fun foam isn't too deep. And so I'm just removing some of those larger sequins, and we'll just put in those that are more shallow and that are smaller. I'm also going to add some chunky glitter to this mix to make it snowy. My embellishment sequins pack is from Buttons Galore and More, and it's called Christmas Carnival. It's very pretty. Just a little too thick in some instances for this shaker design. But at So I'm going to go ahead and place my back panel on, and it's the same size as my fun foam. So I started and then just eased the adhesive backing down as I went, so that, of course, I get keep my sequins in. Surprisingly, that went smoother than I thought it was going to go. So here I have picked out a large and a small poinsettia from the Simple Stories Ephemera, as well as a holly branch, and decided where I want to place them, and going to use liquid glue to go ahead and affix those to my front panel. Here I'm going to add a little sparkle and shine using some Nuvo glitter drops, White Blizzard glitter drops. And this is about, as soon as I add the drops, is about when I discovered that that I did not add double-sided tape to the inside, just those inner two areas of my panel before I place the acetate down. So before placing the acetate, I should have added some double-sided tape just on those two insides. And then those would have stuck. But what I'm doing here is I'm using some liquid glue and going in there and adding that, and then I will place a block over this to let that, adhere. So no harm, no foul. I think I saved this one, but remember, if you're doing a design like this, remember to add your adhesive before you place your acetate down. Before adding that last bit of adhesive, I did let my Nuvo White Blizzard glitter drops dry completely. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. Here's a closer look at the card I made. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, good day, friends.